Kuchi, what should we do? Should we do a Kamehameha a part 2? And she said, no, Mauna Allah. Mauna Allah is very much in the news. So we agreed it was timely. It's a timely topic. And I think it can be a very emotionally charged topic. So what we agreed to do was to try to be as objective as we can in our presentation, and leave questions and so forth for when we're POW. So basically what we want to do is provide you with some information and really interesting stuff, because you know the whole concept of a mausoleum is so Western. Our kupuna didn't bury people in the ground in caskets. You know, they did different things, but they preserved the bones. So, but anyway, so we're gonna do the best we can. I think it was a huge learning curve for us, but I think one of the things, and I think Kuchi will agree, that has come out of it is we know more than we ever thought we did, and we know we already knew more, but we added to our knowledge. So Kuchi is going to do the first part of it, and then I will come in and do the second part of it. So she's going to give us some background, and then I'll come in after that. How's that? Is that okay with you? So Kuchi, are you there?
Yeah, here I am. Aloha kakahiaka kako.
Aloha.
Pehea.
Maikai. But kind of iki, a little bit sticky this morning.
Oh gosh, that was fun. That was so fun. So in a study of Mauna Ala, I had to back up to Pohukaina, where the ali'i were originally entombed on the grounds of Iolani Palace. Everybody know where Pohukaina is? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you know.
Yes.
Okay. Ding! That means next slide.
I think I know. You're talking about the mound?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So we back up to Pohukaina before Mauna Ala. So when Kamehameha II and his wife got the measles in England, and they came home to Pohukaina. But by 1862, Pohukaina was full. Oh, well, back up some more.
This is your first slide.
Okay, next slide. So you can read along with me. That little building in the forefront is Pohukaina, a stone mausoleum. It was constructed in 1825 to house Kamehameha II and Kamamalu, who had died in England of measles. And they were buried here on the grounds of Iolani Palace. The building in the back, they called Iolani Palace, but that's not the palace that we all know today. It was the original building built by Kekuanao'a. So the tomb in the front, the mausoleum, was a simple coral structure with no windows, and a guard was posted. And this is where the ali'i were entombed. I read a little blurb about when Kamehameha II was in England, he saw how the British royalty were entombed in buildings, and that's kind of what he wanted for himself. And when he was there and they visited the tombs, he didn't step inside because he felt he wasn't related to the people that were entombed. So he wouldn't go further. And I think that's reflexive of what we do here at Mauna Ala with our ali'i and the kahu. It's very sacred ground. So we don't want to step inside. The Pohukaina tomb got full by 1862. King Kamehameha III passed away with oh no, I'm sorry, not the third, the fourth. When Kamehameha IV, Queen Emma's husband, passed away, this place was full. Before he passed away, Kahaku o Hawaii, his son, a year before died. So they knew they needed a new location. Okay, next slide.
Okay, hold on. I'm not very good at this.
Oh,
Next.
okay. Okay, there was something interesting that Mr. Bartell said about Pohukaina, that it was like kind of like an underground cave, like tunnels that led to different parts of Oahu. And the main roof of Pohukaina was Kanehoalani, which is, if you're down near the water and you're looking up Nu'uanu Valley, that mountain you're looking straight up to is Kanehoalani, and that was the roof. They called it the roof of the house because it supposedly was the roof of that series of caves that Pohukaina was built in. So I thought that was pretty cool. Supposedly there's an entrance out at Kaena, and I think in Waipahu, but different places you can get into this cave opening where they entombed ali'i, Hawaiian ali'i. Okay. You don't want me to read that, right? You can read it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There, Kanehoalani is actually that ridge that's behind Kualoa.
Oh, you're
And
right. I'm sorry. It's Konahuanui.
Yeah, Konahuanui is the highest peak of Kualoa. But at Kanehoalani, it is said that you can look, there's a place where you can look straight down, and that there is an opening for Pohukaina there. I think that was a David Parker thing. Okay, I'm sorry. Ready for your next slide?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so like I said, Pohukaina was full by 1862, and they needed more space when Kamehameha IV passed with his son. So Kamehameha V started the construction of Mauna Ala. And when, this is a little out of sequence, but in 1865, they took 21 ali'i from Pohukaina in a night procession up to Mauna Ala. And I'm really not, I was kind of interested, but I didn't find anybody that could say why it was done at night, because the burials of the more recent ali'i, Liliuokalani Kalakaua, that they were during the day, but they took these 21 up to Mauna Ala, and they didn't take everybody. So there are still ali'i at Pohukaina, and they it's still a very sacred ground, and they fenced it. It's in the Makai Waikiki corner of the Iolani Palace grounds. They fenced it, and they put up signs so that people don't go in there.
Kuchi, quick question. Does it say which ali'i are still at Pohukaina?
That's a very good question. When Koisai talked to us about Remember
Ali.
that Zoom we had
Yeah.
with Kawisai?
Yeah.
There is a list of who is still there. And Kawisai said she knows who is still there. I only could find 4 names that are of people that are still there. And one of the 4 is Timoteo Ha'alilio, who was instrumental in getting the treaties with the United States, France, and Great Britain signed for the king that they wouldn't try and take Hawaii over. They signed a treaty with Hawaii on behalf of the king, and he's in Koisai's opinion, and I agree, he's a very important Hawaiian patriot, and he is still at Pohukaina. That'd be kind of interesting for everybody to find out who's still there. I thought the palace should have a list since they were, kind of the caretakers of that area. But Kawisai Dudwa, who works for Awaya Ulu.
Mhm.
Awaya Ulu?
Yeah.
Awaya
Ulu. She knows who's still there. I didn't contact her to ask for this project, but
Another
just
quick question.
just as they should know who's at Mauna Ala, maybe in the caretaker's house there's a book. They should know who was here. But and 1862 wasn't that long ago that you wouldn't. I mean, we know Kamehameha the Great died May 8, 1819. So after that, when they started putting people here, somebody should know who's left.
So I have another quick question. So, you said 21 were transferred and they
Yeah.
got food, that's why they transferred. So
At night, yeah.
is there a description about were they all under the mound? Because you talked about the connection with caves, or were some of them like, how is there any way that describes how they were buried in Pohukaina? Because the caves part kind of throws me off.
I know. Yeah, it's kind of, but it was a structure. They were put in that house. There's a series of underground caves, and I'm not sure that they were buried in caves. There was an article that said Kamehameha the 5th. Oh, I better not say. One of the Kamehamehas, either the 5th or the 3rd, they brought older ali'i bones to Pohukaina. They brought Liloa out of his burial cave to Pohukaina. Alapa'i and Lono Ikamakahiki. You've heard those names, yeah? Alapa'i, Liloa, and Lono Ikamakahiki. I think Liloa was in the ka'ai that got stolen out of Bishop Museum a couple years ago that Edward Ayau recovered. But those 3, and it was in black and white, were brought out of their burial caves and placed in Pohukaina. And it sounded like more like a structure, the way they bury in England. You know how they bury all their royalty in a tomb, in a mausoleum, like the last queen, she was put in the floor of Westminster Abbey or wherever she ended up. It was like that, not like caveman style, but beneath Pohukaina was a big area, a big space, kind of like at the Kalakaua crypt, where they're in the wall, their caskets are in the wall. I think same with this place, but I don't I didn't go and ask. We should have asked Koei. Koei's done a tremendous amount of research.
Thanks, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
And then in reference to that question of why these ali'i were brought at night and why the Klakoa family is interred during the day, they the Klakoa dynasty can, oh, Bob, remember what that, they have the right to torches that burn in the daytime. Right? So Liliokalani Klakau Kuhio, because Kuhio is in that tomb too. And then I think too, what happens later is the Christianizing, the Westernizing of the burials probably impact those funerals. But I know that the kapu for the Klakau dynasty is they have the torch that can be lit in the daytime. Anyway. So,
Yeah, they
but
have the burning kapu, the burning.
okay, so here we go.
So this is what they put the mound. It was a house before originally, but because there's still people there, they put a mound and a fence and you can't go in, so that we remember there's still people there instead of just abandoning the site. But yeah, I wish I had, it's a lot of work to try and track down who's left. But we're pretty sure Ha'alilio is still there, because Koe said she and her family, and I thought they went on his birthday, but Robin said no, they go on Hawaiian Independence Day because he did so much work to secure the safety of the sovereignty of the Hawaiian Kingdom. Because we were so small, we couldn't defend against anybody.
Gwen, can you hear me?
No, I can't.
Has
And how
anyone
could you
tried
answer?
to use technology to map the caves underneath this mountain?
Look at you, Doug. How Heva Kela.
I mean, it's possible,
You
but
know, there's some places you cannot take technology. I don't know. But there are places that you just cannot take technology. And I would suspect this is one place. The Hawaiian people would probably just up in arms. But you know, Doug, there's a legend about a kapa beater in Waipahu that her the kua, the thing that you beat on the board, fell into some water, a river or wherever she was beating kapa. It fell in and it floated along underground and it came out in Kahuku. I think that's what the legend says. No, it came out in Kahuku. And that's just to illustrate that these underground passages, natural ones, you know, tunnels like lava tubes, maybe they're there. That's kind of a popular legend of the kapa lady beating her kapa, and her kapa board, the kua falls in and comes out in Kahuku. But even Makua Cave, Kaneana, supposedly comes out in the ocean. If you go into Makua Cave, it comes out in the ocean.
Yeah, my father told me that he was a young man. He buried one of my grand uncles in a cave.
In the backyard, that kind.
A cave up near Hana somewhere.
Okay.
A big field. And it was a family burial ground, a cave, and it was full. That was the last one they could fit in there. And so they sealed it up, and he didn't know where it was anymore. So I suspect there's a lot of caves like that all over the islands, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because
And there's
we're
a lot of
volcanic.
ground-seeking radar that can find this stuff really without disturbing anything. They can just go down and look at the difference in the densities and find these caves and log them, you know, if people were interested.
That's because you have a science background. But if you have a pure Hawaiian background, I don't I'm hoping that you're not gonna go ni ele. Yeah,
Yeah.
maho'oi.
Well, the question is, do you want to know or not, right? I mean, that's really the question.
And
So if you don't
some-
want to know, then you don't want to know, right? And because you want to know whether there's a cave doesn't mean you want to know you want to go or allow
Mm.
anyone else to go dig it up, right?
Hello,
So it's just a question. It's interesting to me that no one's tried.
hello.
okay,
Yeah.
Tootsie has a question.
Yeah, I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I have a friend who has property in Hana. It's further out past way past Hana town, and it's up Malka. On her property that she owns, she did come across an area that had remains. What she did is she made sure that it was blessed by the kahu of that area. She had it sealed up, and she made sure that it was protected. So, and she said that it appeared as if there were tunnels, but she wasn't going to touch it. She sealed it up. She had it blessed, and she's always felt that the place needed to remain sacred for the Hawaiian people. So I think what you're saying about the tunnels rings true, only because I was at my friend's place and she pointed out the area where I could see that she had preserved sacred ground for the Hawaiian people.
Mm.
So anyway,
I tried to
that's
talk
all.
my father into going back to find it, and he was
An uncle.
he was of the opinion that you should leave those things alone.
Mm.
See,
Well, I just
Yeah.
want to add on to Doug's question.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one about, do we want to know or not? And, like, I think we're right. Every island has those kinds of Labatu passages, because on Molokai there certainly are. And my husband's family comes from the east end of the island where they have those caves. So he, has family oral history about being able to go into caves from this side all the way back to the North Shore. And we used to have most of the people living on our North Shore, not the way it is now on the South Shore. So my take on it, just as an individual Hawaiian, is that our tradition is oral history. And so for me, it's like handing it out that way. We have a kuleana to do that, and perhaps we haven't done it very well. That's why we don't really know for sure. But I'm somebody who feels not that comfortable, like Kuchi is, about using modern technology to explore history. I kind of feel like whatever our kuleana has been to pass it down, we need to keep that tradition. And sometimes I really have faith in the next generation that they will figure things out, because they've done a lot of research into books and into, I don't know, they find things in Hawaiian newspapers. And so I'm hoping that we can recapture our history and our traditional. So that's just my personal manao. But I appreciate that, Doug, you raised that, because it's something that generations will have to continue to look at, because technology just gets more and more fancy.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind someone's going to try someday. So getting ready for that occasion, right, on what position we want to be in, is probably something people ought to think about.
And
Did
Go
the
ahead.
state of Hawaii pass the law that you can cremate people and sprinkle them like fertilizer? Because there are some states that you can cremate and then use the remains like fertilizer. Did we pass that in Hawaii?
No, we
I
tend
thought we
to-
did.
we tend to spread where in places that are meaningful. you know, we come from a tradition of cremation where a lot of other people, you know, cremation is new to them. They're buried in the ground, you know. But I think in response to Doug, I really believe if the things that are secret now, if they're meant to remain secret, we're not gonna find them no matter what kind of equipment we have, because the ancestors will show us what I believe, they show us what they choose to show us. Ruby, I don't know if you know, Ruby Light Johnson was a professor at university, and she, when we were going through a lot of the issues with burials and so forth, she said, you know, we ought to get real comfortable with the fact that the bones are all around us. They may be in our yards. They may be, they're all around us because our people didn't go, you know, didn't have the fancy cemeteries and so forth. So the bones are around us. I like that bones are protected by federal law so that when they're found in an excavation, the burial council has to come and they have to do whatever they do, and those bones have to be reinterred in where they were found. So if you go to Target in Kailua, right in front of Target on the right-hand side of the driveway is an enclosure for bones, where the bones are. Over by Central Pacific Bank in Kailua, there's enclosures with the bones. And I think that Ruby was right. You know, we got to get comfortable with the fact that they're all around us. Anyway, Kuchi, I'm interested.
There's an enclosure in front of the zoo too, a nice big one where they left the bones at the zoo, and Walmart on Ke'eaumoku, when they were building Walmart, they found, so they greedily stuck the bones in a trailer while they continued to build, but after a while in the back corner of the parking structure is an area where the bones were put back. In Samoa, they bury in their yard.
Yeah.
In
Waimea, they bury in their yards.
Yeah.
In many rural places.
Yeah. You know, my landlady, I used to live in Miley, and Lottie Bodner, who was a well-known quilter like your mom, Doug. Maybe your mom knew Lottie Bodner from Maui. She buried her daughter in her yard at Nahiku, her property. In Nahiku, Lottie Bodner, who you may recognize, buried her little girl in Nahiku. So, yeah, we want to know, but how badly do you want to know? And somebody does know. Somebody put them there, so somebody knows. Okay, next slide. So, although many ali'i were transferred to Mauna Ala, many still remain, including these four guys. Kalani'o Pu'u was really a high-ranking chief. And like I said, Timoteo Ha'alileo, who needs to be, his name needs to get out there in the community. So Kamehameha IV brought these guys, Lone Kamakahiki, who's in the end, I think that's the guy in the end of the Kumulipo. And look how long ago he was 1500. Alapa'i was 1700. Alapa'i was the big chief that was hunting the baby Kamehameha to kill him because he was afraid Kamehameha would grow up and take over his kingdom. He's at Mauna Ala today. That's why it said 21, but actually 18 in the torchlight ceremony where these people were bones, I think. I'm sure they were in Ka'ai. So I put a little blurb that all of us need to do further research on who is still at Pohukaina, because I couldn't find out. Maybe, what's that girl, Akana at Iolani Palace? She might have records. Or I wonder if even the state archives, Kumu Ron, we could ask Ron Williams. He's always wanting to talk about the mo'i. He might know where it's recorded. If they even bothered to record, because we didn't keep very good birth records either.
Because birth records aren't required until way later in the,
Yeah, yeah, these guys are way back. But yeah, there's still people at Pohukaina. Okay.
So, just a kind of an interesting part, Kekaulohi, who was the mother of Lunalilo, was not removed from Ho'okaina until he removes her. And that it is said that his tomb is not, he's not at Mauna Ala because they wouldn't take his mama to Mauna Ala. And I
Yeah.
think he buried, if I remember, he buried her at sea.
No, you know, Robin, isn't Kekaulohi scattered off Lahaina?
Yeah, that's because they wouldn't, and it said that they wouldn't. He had that done because she was not taken from Pohukaina to Mauna Ala.
Yeah, he doesn't like the Kamehameha, so he is in a crypt at Kauaiahao Church.
Church,
At the
Yes.
front entrance to Kamehameha the Great and Lunalilo are the two kings that are not at Mauna Ala.
Yes.
So, any questions for Kuchi? Is this the end of
No.
your slide?
Not for Kuchi. If you have a question, you need to go and find out because it's your responsibility. If you're smart enough to ask the question, you're smart enough to find the answer.
Well, teacher.
Next slide. Oh, did we cover this? Oh, here we go. So
You-
then
this
they
is on
built,
your deck.
then they Kamehameha V started to have this building that's the chapel today was the original mausoleum. And he started the construction in 1865. Anyway, when the Eva Wing, no, he couldn't have started it. Yeah, maybe he did. When the Eva Wing of this mausoleum was completed, then they brought Kamehameha IV, Queen Emma's husband, and Kamehameha IV's son, who died at age 4, brought them both to the mausoleum at Mauna Ala. I read that Emma and her husband picked a site and they were here. She was so distraught that they had left her. She slept in the mausoleum with them for a long time. It's a real sad story. But not sure why they decided to build all the other tombs. Maybe this one started to fill up as well. And then
Well, in here, they were open, the caskets were just on stands.
yeah, did it get
were
full,
not-
full up?
So, that's a hardcore. We gotta find that one out. Why
So
then
then
they
they-
decided to build the other
Yeah,
spots for the other folks?
yeah, the tombs, the crypts. A mausoleum apparently is an above ground structure and a crypt is an underground structure. That's, they're kind of interchangeable except for the fact that one's in the ground and one's above. So today, and they did a major renovation of the mausoleum to transform it into this chapel. So the Kamehamehas and the Kalakaua are here at Mauna Ala. We've all been there, yeah. We've all seen the crypts. And I was told by a not so creditable source that don't walk around the back of the Kamehameha crypt because the people are back there as well. You know how everybody just comes around the front and then you see people walking around the back? Don't walk around the back because there are burials back there too.
There are
You'll be
names on
walking.
the back. There,
Yeah,
every
the
space
names.
of that the monument has names.
Yeah, all the names of who's in there.
Okay,
But-
so now
Oh, this is a real nice picture of the original Mount. I mean, this is Mauna Ala a long time ago before all the trees got planted. I barely recognized it. I took it off a Kamehameha file. And Robin sent a real nice virtual tour. You can click on the buildings and it'll tell you who's in there. And then you can click on the name of the person who's in there and it'll tell you a little bit about them.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do when we're POW today is I'm gonna put all those links on our Facebook page. And
Okay.
I probably will send it out because not everybody's on there, but there's a couple of things that we need to really take a look at that we kind of don't have time to do today.
Okay. So I just put in a Founders Day picture. That's I think the Kamehameha tomb. And the names of the people that are there are etched on the sides. And I never really paid attention before to all the names, but they're on all four sides. So I just stuck this one in, and this daytime, yeah, like 1887, Miriam, Kalakawa's sister, and then Kalakaua daytime as well. So I thought, geez, how come they brought those people over at night? But anyway, his story is sad too, how he lost the kingdom and died at sea. And I just wanted to show I just wanted to show the daytime versus the torchlit ceremony. Because Robin, the Kalakauas had the burning kapu, but it was more than Kalakaua that were proceeded up from Pohukaina. And we're coming to the last slide.
Bill my oho. And I wish I checked notes, but I always believe that you shouldn't be taking notes. She had the explanation of why those why the bones were up by night. Now I have to go look to that. Okay, and then
this is what it looks like today. And it's I didn't get a photo of Princess Kekaulike Kino Iki Kawananakoa's she got permission to be buried there. She wanted to go into the Kalakaua crypt, but was told it was full. And so they allowed her to build her own crypt into the gate and turn right to the right-hand side. I got so confused by all the dates. She died December 11, 2022. And then they had her lie in state in the throne room at Iolani Palace on January 22nd, 2023. So about 5 weeks later, they had the public could go and pay respects. So then they took her back to hang on to her because her tomb wasn't ready. And I couldn't remember. I remember seeing on the news, I remember seeing her being interred, but I don't remember what day. I thought it was earlier this year.
Earlier this year, they had her birthday thing.
Oh, yeah. So she's fairly recent at Mauna Ala.
Okay. And then I'll put this one will go on our page because we're at 9:55 right now. So I'll put this on our page. This is a
fun one. You click on the pictures and they tell you who's there, and it's really well done.
Yeah, and it's done. I think it's I'll click on just for a moment. It takes a long time to load. I think that's why we decided not to do it. Yeah,
oh yeah, it takes a long time.
It's still loading. So but I'll put that on our class page so that you can look at it because it was fun. It was fun looking at that.
It was.
So we now are going to look at another part of that story. And my part of this is the kahu of Mauna Ala. Now let's see if I can find it. Where did it go? I had it, share screen.
Hey, Robin, last night they had a talk on John Papa'i'i that my family went to, and the girl in your video who is descendant of Ho'olulu, one of the brothers on the seal of the state of Hawaii, Ho'olulu and Kame'iamoku on the, no, Kamanava. I forget. Anyway, Ho'olulu is on the seal of the state of Hawaii, and his descendants were caretakers at Mauna Ala. It was their responsibility. So
Right.
she is a descendant of Ho'olulu, and she came to give testimony about why the kahu needs to be more than the state required. And she was at the Papa'i'i lecture last night.
And then she's also on what we're going to see. And some people have the link already. Geez, what did I do? Wait, hold on. I got to save this back to my, save a copy to this PC, browse. Because what we want to look at now is going to be the kahu, the people who have served as kahu of Mauna Ala. So let me go to that. The kahu of Mauna Ala. And well, here we start. So I call them the keepers of the bones of our lead. So you've seen this picture, but I included this picture because this is a monument over the Kalakaua tomb that designates Mauna Ala as the burial place of our lead. Here you see it at the top here, and this is the entrance into the Kalakaua tomb. So I want us to look at, I put this slide up twice, and after we go through it, then I have it back up again. And so the kahu is an honored attendant, a guardian, a nurse, a keeper of unihipili bones. Oops. And the unihipili is the spirit of a dead person, sometimes believed to be present in their bones or hair and kept lovingly. So that's where I wanted to, I'm just gonna leave you with that, this definition here. So here are the names of the folks who were caretakers of Mauna Ala. I'm gonna say they all had connections to Ali'i. If they weren't Ali'i themselves, well, they had to be, because a commoner cannot care for Ali'i, even our Ali'i children. You know, when the little Leopapo Kamehameha is born, not any old body could be his nurse. So it was Kapi'olani who cared for him, because Ali'i only Ali'i can care for Ali'i. So this, what I showed you in the earlier slide are people from the past. So Nahalau was served, and I couldn't find the beginning year, but that person served till 1873. Joseph Keaoa from 1873. Then Haumea goes in from 1878. Pius Koakanu, that is an interesting name, 1885. Lani Hau, in 1885, Keano and Holowa'a. And then we come to Pomaikalani, who is the sister of Klakoa. And she is a caretaker of the bones. But here's what, here is the lineage that, to which Kuchi is referring. And it is the lineage of the Beckley who come from Ho'olulu. And here are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I leave Luahine, Iolani Luahine out of that because she is not a descendant of Ho'olulu, but she was asked to be the caretaker until somebody from that lineage could assume the kuleana. So these folks are all related. They all come from Ho'olulu. And when we come to it's the Beckleys, Kahea is married to Beckley. William Edward Bishop Kaihe'ikai Taylor is Georgie Maioho's grandpa. Okay. When we used to go to Mauna Ala for explorations, Dr. Mitchell would ask the children seated in the chapel, do you know where the bones of Kamehameha the Great are hidden? And their big eyes would just go, oh no. And then he would point to Auntie Lydia, to Namahana Ikalele Kalani, and say, her ancestors do. Her ancestors hid the bones of Kamehameha the Great. So this line of folks are the people who were connected to Ho'olulu. And they were the caretakers at Mauna Ala. William Kaihe'ikai Taylor, he was the father of Namahana Ikalele Okalani Taylor Maioho. He was caretaker. At his death, his wife, Emily, becomes the caretaker. And I found this article about Emily Taylor, a Kama'aina resident who was custodian at the Royal Mausoleum for 5 years, died of a heart attack yesterday. And then it gives her lineage, descendant of Imaka Kaloa, High Chiefs of Ka'u, and the widow of William Bishop Taylor. She succeeded her husband as the mausoleum curator after he died in 1956. Okay, what did I do? I don't have a picture of Iolani, but Iolani Luahine, she becomes caretaker until somebody from the family can come and take on that role. And that somebody from the family was Lydia Namahana Ikalele Okalani Taylor Maioho. This is George Maioho's mother. Their kuleana comes not from Maioho, but from her father, Taylor, from her father. So Auntie Namahana served well at Mauna Ala. And I found this article, and I couldn't find the date, but when she comes to the mausoleum to care for the bones, the gates were closed. The gates were not opened. Before 1948, the gold tip gates on Nu'uanu Avenue were always kept closed. The only visitors were occasional tourists or Kamehameha school students on Founders Day. Since the time of Auntie Lydia, the gates of Mauna Ala are open all during the work week. Okay, students come, Kamehameha comes, Liliokalani comes. But I believe it was because of her connections to to that history. And she realized that if we didn't open it to others, the knowledge of Mauna Ala would be lost. Because if we look at old pictures of even Queen's birthday, it wasn't at Mauna Ala. So not till 1948, but Lahi Lahi Webb of Bishop Museum talks with Auntie Namahana about her descendancy from Ho'olulu, and they had been entrusted with the task of secreting the bones of Kamehameha I. So that is their sacred, that's their sacred duty. Now, Auntie Namahana retired, and I'm not sure if Bill becomes the caretaker when she retired or at her death, because she dies there at Mauna Ala. She dies in the cottage at Mauna Ala. So, but after her funeral was held in the chapel at Mauna Ala. And her bones, her cremation was handled very carefully, and her bones were preserved. So her bones were in a large koa box, and people assumed that she would be buried at Mauna Ala, and she said no. She was carried down Nu'uanu Avenue to the section where her parents are, and she was buried there. So this is George's brother, William Kaihe'ikai, and he becomes the caretaker. And I think he knew he had so much history in his head. When he would do presentations, my head would spin. And because he just had so much knowledge of who was there, where they were, and even knowledge of those, the rituals that were done when the bones were brought up from Pohukaina. So that's Bill. And Bill lived in the newer cottage of at Mauna Ala. Later, after Bill dies, his son, who is called Kai, but he's William Taylor Kaihe'ikai, he becomes the caretaker. He was taught by his father. And I really can't go into any story of why Kai is no longer there. But Kai's employment, his contract with the state, I believe, ended last year, April 2023. And there was Pilikia. We don't know. I know, but I cannot say. But there was Pilikia. So he's no longer there. So that brings us to where we are today. From the time he left, from the time he was terminated until just recently, there is no caretaker for Mauna Ala. So a job was posted for 2 weeks for this position. You will see, and this is where I paused, because in order to be objective, I just have to tell you where the information is. The state of Hawaii used its own employment practices to hire the curator that they announced on May 13th or May 14th. There was such an outcry from the Hawaiian community and from the descendants of Ho'olulu, who attest that they were always part of the process of selecting the next curator, that it was their kuleana to select the next curator. I am going to put out a link to a Senate hearing that was held on May 28th, so you can listen for yourself the testimony of Office of Hawaiian Affairs, Royal Lord of Kamehameha, Halionauli'i, Daughters and Sons of Hawaiian Warriors, Mamakakawa, the UH Law School, and other entities that speak to, I want to say that almost the impropriety of that hiring. Right. And the wahine that Pucci talks about, who shared last night, was also, I'm going to stop the sharing, was also in that hearing. And in the hearing, she says, it is not our style to come and tell you who we are. But the family believes that it is time for them to speak up about what happened in this process, how they were never consulted, how the Royal Societies were never consulted, how OHA, and apparently, if you listen to the Hulu Lindsay's remarks, OHA has a duty to us as their beneficiaries to speak to any issues related to the good and welfare of the Hawaiian people. So they assert that OHA, the Royal Societies, and there's a group called Ahamoku. I didn't know much about them, but they speak on the in that hearing. But who called to the attention of the state and to Senator Inoue she's the head of Hawaiian Affairs, that this needs to be looked at again. So a week or so after that hearing, the state puts out another job opening, but now they're going to have a one person to do the spiritual things of Mauna Ala, and the current appointee to do the administrative stuff. And that's where we are. Senator Inoue says, we're not done. It's matters that need to be handled in session next year, when session opens. But we're still 6 months away from the next legislative session. Whether they can call a special session to deal with this, but it's critical. It's a critical matter of who cares for those bones. Is it just a cemetery that, you know, somebody's going to go to and cut the grass and do all these things? No. The sanctity of that place has to be preserved. Wait, I'm editorializing, and I said I wasn't going to. But I invite your comments, because is Mauna, okay, well, I didn't have time to put in this. Mauna Ala was taken out of the inventory of public lands in, I think it was like something like 1908. It is no longer a part of the public lands of the state. It is sovereign. Only the Hawaiian flag and or the flag of the Kamehameha can fly at Mauna Ala. So does Mauna Ala belong to us? Do you and I have kuleana to Mauna Ala? I see you over there, Muffet. What thinkest thou? Is Mauna Ala a sacred trust?
Hi. Yeah, I think so.
Because
I'm
you know, okay, go ahead. I gotta get some
No,
water.
no, go ahead. I'm just trying to work my phone. I'm doing something at the same time and listening to you. Thank you so much, you and Kuchi. It's very interesting. Oh,
So Colleen Ayu said in her testimony, in our youth we didn't have the education that we have now, and so we didn't know. But now we have the education, right? Any comments? Any feedback? Any questions?
Sorry, I'm joining late, but this is Shar.
Hi.
First of all, yes, it is sovereign land. However, I guess the upkeep is being taken care of by the state. So they thought they could, come in and use their practices. But obviously, there's something terribly wrong about ignoring the fact that it is sovereign land and it should have been decided by OHA and other Hawaiian civic groups, and certainly the history of the lineage. So I don't know how they're going to back themselves out of this because, perhaps this woman could sue, but hey, we could too. Anyway, just my thought.
Yeah, and I think you'll get more from the hearing that Lorraine Inouye convened. Lots of information pertinent to the hiring of that position and the practices related to it. So it ain't over. I don't think it's over. Is the current appointee going to just be an administrative person and open and close the gate, and you have another cultural person who knows the history, the who's buried where, the descendants, the kuleana from Honolulu,
So, Robin,
Yo,
I agree with you. I think the issue is just starting. It's really unfortunate to me that there was that break in the caretaker kuleana. But, totally agree with Shar that it's sovereign land, so it needs to be decided by the Hawaiian community. And I think one of the things that really irks me, has irked me over the years, is when we have lots of discussion and opinions in the Hawaiian community, then all of a sudden it's like you guys don't know how to work together. And to me, I think it's super healthy when you've got different perspectives. And yeah, it might take a long time. And yeah, some people got egos, but to me, you can only come up with the best ideas when you allow that kind of, deep thinking. Folks talk about it as controversy, and for me, it's like, it's like you said, it's our kuleana to put forth. People have different perspectives, and I just have faith in our community, our Hawaiian community over the, these, from when we were in high school and then graduate, I really see our Hawaiian lahui coming together. And
Yeah.
I have faith in this upcoming generation that's so much more informed. They've dug into, like I said, Hawaiian newspapers. We didn't speak the language, so there was a lot that we had to learn. But I really feel like in our gut, in our na'au, we know who we are. We know what we want as people of this land. And I just have really strong faith that our community and our generations will rally and come up with the answers that we need for our future.
And Bill Maioho came up with this idea for the upkeep of the crypts. And there is a memorandum of understanding between the state and Kamehameha Schools, Liliuokalani Trust, Kuinema Foundation, Kawananakoa, and and the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs comes in because they also have agreed to help with major cleanups. So they do major cleanup days there. But from 2013 to 2016, apparently what happened was the Ali Trusts and the entities who have folks up there. So Kuinema Foundation responsible for the Wiley Tomb. Kamehameha Schools is responsible for the maintenance and care of Kamehameha. Liliuokalani is responsible for the care and maintenance of the Klakaua tomb. And the Kawananakoa, whatever that's called, has Kuleana also. And I think in inviting those people to come in, shares the responsibility of the keeping and care of Mauna Ala to these entities, so that the state cuts the grass, the state trims the trees. So basically the state has a yard maintenance relationship, but the kuleana of caring for the ali'i goes to their trust. And to me, that makes absolute sense. So, yeah, I think it's kind of sobering. I'm looking at your faces. It's kind of a sobering times. I happen to know the wahine that was selected. I never connected her at all to anything at Mauna Ala. I've been hanging around at Mauna Ala since I was in high school. I used to go visit Auntie Namahana up at the mausoleum when there was only this crummy little gate that, like an accordion, a metal gate at the Klakaua tomb. And she would say, "Oh, can you go down there and check out the flowers?" Or, But, you expect that somebody in that kuleana would have some kind of ties. And I looked through all of my pictures of every queen's birthday I've ever done, and I don't see her picture in any of the Royal Society pictures. And you want to see that somebody has some kind of tie to the place. I mean, Barbara, you and I have a better tie, So Kuchi posed this question. She goes, "How come we don't know?" Well, now we have tools available to us. And so I think we want to encourage you to do your own digging into this important part of our lives. I know when we were in high school, we went on, when did we go? Founders Day. And a few people went, oh no, I think in 7th grade, all the prep school kids went to Charles Reed Bishop's birthday. Yeah. But we only went Founders Day. No, you can drive into Mauna Ala, the gates are open. You can drive in. I took Buddy's sister up there in February. She had never been there. Took her up, showed her around the grounds. We can do that. And we owe that to Namahana, my Oho, who said these gates got to be open. So I believe the gates are open from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Monday to Friday, except state holidays and federal holidays. So next time we have reunion, we got to go up there. In fact, Noela, do you remember that before all the alumni started going, we went to Mauna Ala. I think in 1993, we went, a small group of us, we went to Mauna Ala. A small group of us meets every December 19th in the chapel for Founders Day. And we have committed to being on the grounds on Pauahi's birthday, regardless of the day of the week it falls. So we go at 7:30 a.m. on December 19th. Remembering those pledges in honor of the memory of our ali'i. That's what we do at Mauna Ala. We honor the memory of our ali'i. Okay? Any questions?
Robin.
Yes.
Where is, I'm sorry, because I came in late. So is Jack or, from Kamehameha Schools, are they involved? Because seriously, because of Charles Reed Bishop, I remember when I worked there, the gates outside of Mauna Ala needed to be repaired. And that was a cost that was authorized by, the Charles Reed Bishop Trust through Kamehameha Schools, etc. So, as you mentioned, they're supposed to be responsible for the Kamehameha Crypt, but they have a lot of lawyers.
Okay, so I'm going to put the memorandum of understanding on our page. It was a project that went on from 2013 to 2016, I believe it was. And if I can find it here.
So is that under DJ Mailer?
Who is it? Could be. Let's see. Let me see if I can play this thing.
In the right thing. It's up.
Yeah. Oh wait, where am I? I'll put the link up on our page too, because I wanted to show it to us. But sometimes links work and sometimes they don't. But they had a ceremony with the trustees of all the trust when they rededicated Mauna Ala, with them taking on their kuleana. Charles Reed Bishop also has, I think his trust has some kuleana there too. And we know, it's kind of cool because there's a monument to Charles Reed Bishop at Mauna Ala, but his urn went into the tomb and is on the casket of Pauahi. So he is in the Klakaua crypt. Yeah, I mean,
Kamehameha.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I'll put those, I'll send you folks those links. There was so much for Kuchi and I to look at over the past few weeks. But I think what happens too, if you dig, it'll stick better. Yeah. And then if you dig, it is absent my bias, I want to say. Because what we aimed to do was to present this as objectively as we could. So, but as far as looking at what happened with the nomination, with the selection of this Wahine, and subsequent to that, the hearing, and then subsequent to that, okay, now we're going to have a second position, and apparently unknown to us, there was quite an uproar in the community. That I don't think I was really aware of until I saw the recording of the hearing. It's about 3 hours long, so I'll send it out, and you feast on it in the bites that you can. Okay, I think that's all we have, Kuchi, except Kuchi's idea. Kuchi, what idea did you have for next
Well,
year?
I just want to encourage you to look at the Senate hearing. It's very interesting. The speakers are very interesting people.
Yeah, and so I'll get that out to you.
Okay.
But while we were doing this, like we didn't have 500 things to do already, Kuchi says, I think we should have a trolley in the Kamehameha Day Parade. And I said, oh, yay. And I thought she meant it during our reunion year. But then we started talking about, no, next year. And that makes more sense, our 75th birthday year, because we never know what alumni office is going to do with Kamehameha Day, whether the luau falls on Kamehameha Day Parade, blah, blah, blah. So I went and I looked, I inquired at Enoa Tours and got some figures of what it would cost us to rent a trolley. It's just, this is the 2024 prices. She said it usually goes up about maybe 10%. But so $583 for the first 2 hours and $182 for each additional hour. You can seat 35 and you can have about 15 standing. We're too old to stand on a trolley, but if you had like little grandkids, young ones that wanted to come and cheer for us, but so we're just putting it out there that it would be kind of fun to have for our 75th birthday to have an entry into the Kamehameha Day Parade. Oh, and the entry fee is $50. And I think that part of that came about because, look at our kissing people. Part of that came about because, there were, Kamehameha Day went down from 150 participants in the past to 50 this year. And I think part of Kamehameha not being so involved is, was luau on the same day as the parade? I think so, huh? Wait, I can't remember.
It usually is on Saturday. I mean, that's why in our younger reunions, we could do it all.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
now it's a little rough.
Well, and the other thing is they moved the luau to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So you really, you can't get down to the parade and back to campus for the luau. But will you think about that, guys, and see if that's something, we could do? I couldn't get any commitment from her for 2018 or 2028. She said that's a little too far out for us to be able to predict. I mean, to forecast how much it would cost by then. And then I thought, maybe we ought to go because we're here now. You know, people are leaving us. You know, and now I know we'll only be 78 years old at the next reunion, but yeah, stuff happened. So would you think about it, and then I'll get some information out to us. And so she's talking about fundraising. I said, let's just sell seats on the bus. If you wanna ride the trolley, you pay. And then we only have to fundraise a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, that's my idea. Okay. All right, Nora, you got anything for our birthday?
Birthday for the 75th. Okay, so I have been very, very, very negligent in sending out the survey. So Charles was in town this past week. And so what I did was I asked him, how was the Hilo Alumni Week? And he did a golf tournament. And then, of course, there was the event that alumni office puts on, I guess like a luncheon, but they have a mini makeke and some other things. So I asked Charles, and I will be sending out an email to everybody on Moku'oke'awe and asking them to do our 75th birthday in Hilo. Now, having said that, what you're just bringing up about the alumni, about the Kamehameha parade and us having a trolley, we might have to move things maybe up a
No,
day. I don't know.
theirs is earlier. Kamehameha, Hawaii Island celebrations are like usually the first week in April. June.
Okay, and then Kamehameha. Okay, so we can do all that coordination. So my thought to because we are behind the 8 ball, I want to say, as far as planning for our 75th, the least anybody has to do, the better. The other 2 places was Kauai, and Randy would have to do it all by himself. Because Kauai people, they come, but they're not around to help. And so Oahu people would step in like we did for, but you know what? It
is what it is.
A nice thought. It was a nice thought, but I think Hilo is just a little bit ahead of us. And then the other one was Lolamai at Wayne's place. Now that would have been even more, Oahu, everybody in Hawaii would have to work on that, because Wayne definitely, he has the place, but he can't coordinate the event. So all of that can be thought about for future events. So that's why, as I said, I asked Charles, and he was willing to do it. And as I said, because he got the golf tournament already and alumni office has the event, so they as a group would have to do maybe just one more event, maybe 2. So, but again, not until we get everybody on board will we know for sure if it's if it's going to happen. So what everybody's thoughts here now that kind of a decision, at least a request has been put in to all classmates on Moku'oke'awe. And so I'll send it to everybody in Hilo and that proximity, and I'll CC all the Kona Waimea people. And, it could be an island event. We'll see. We'll see. But any thoughts?
Maybe we could impose on Scott Mahoney and have a dinner up at his house.
That's another thought too. Logistics, yeah. Because if we're in Hilo and you got to go, he's Waimea, right?
Right, Homes, yeah.
And again, day events are going to have to be better for us, especially if there's any traveling involved.
Yeah,
So
okay.
you guys think that's a good idea or
I
or
do.
what? Okay. And I was happy that Charles was willing also. We'll see how the rest of those in Hilo will be and just get them involved.
So
Okay,
Julia,
so
he's on the screen, but I don't hear his voice.
who's that?
Charles?
Charlie.
Well, we're
Oh, yeah,
trying
yeah,
to be incognito this way.
yeah.
Um, now that we have our house built and that we're in it, that could be another thing that similar to
go.
what we did with the Huakai in Utah. We could probably we'd be willing to sponsor that here.
They're
Mhm.
more easy.
Yeah.
because it's ready here,
Yeah.
closer.
Sounds
And
good.
everybody can venture.
Just need help, you know. You got we all know you can't do it by yourself.
No, you can't.
So and I would really hope that those on Moko Kiawe will step up. Okay. And then our announcement is our day of prayer, 6 of each month at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. We have
Forgot about that.
you know, all prayer intentions. There are a lot of us that need the prayer. So just remember that. And next Zoom is July 27th. Again, always the fourth Saturday, except for November, December. But you know, this has been a very, very busy, well, summer just started, but man alive, it has been very busy. And hopefully as things level off as we get through the summer, then we'll have our group back. But this is nice. I like having our Zoom this many people. It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
Just need to see who else is interested, you know. I send out, you know, Robin sends out email or I mean the announcement. I do to mine is mainly the guys because the guys never remember. We can always depend on Doug and Randy and sometimes Hapuna, but yeah, the guys never
Well, I
remember. So
deliberately,
today,
yeah, I had to let
yeah.
him know. I texted him this morning because he always.
Yeah, so I don't know where Gayton was today and even Gain. I called Wayne, but he had some issues on his property, so but we'll keep going, keep trying. But always great to see everybody else.
Yeah,
Love
and I
seeing
know.
you today, Barbara. Nice
Yeah.
surprise. It's always a nice surprise to see a new face that we haven't seen in a while. So that's all that I have. Thanks a lot, everybody. Robin, anything else?
Well, I'm gonna put it out because the recording is gonna go out. Juanita Chang Arant celebration is on the 30th of this month. They're in Washington. Some of the Washington girls are planning to go. So it's on our Facebook page, and I'll find the link for. But I don't think any of us are going anytime soon, eh?
No, not, you know, and it's just, again, timing is everything. Sherry will be up there on Tuesday, and she hopes to meet up with, she has a long layover in Seattle, so she's gonna meet up with whoever she can before she heads to Alaska. So Seattle's gonna be pretty busy this next week or so.